I never imagined I would be telling this story out loud. For a long time, it felt like something I needed to bury. Something private. Something I wasn't ready to face. Not because it was dramatic, but because admitting it meant accepting that the life I thought I had was never as solid as I believed. I was always the kind of man who believed loyalty was simple. You meet someone. You choose them. You stay. You don't entertain other options. You don't play games. You don't live double lives. Love, to me, wasn't complicated. It was a decision reinforced every day by consistency. When I met her, there was nothing chaotic about us, no toxic ups and downs. No constant fights. What we had felt stable, grounded, real. We built routines that felt comforting. Morning texts, sareth, meals, inside jokes that made no sense to anyone else. Conversations about the future that felt natural, not forced. We talked about moving in together, about traveling, about building something long-term. And I trusted her in a way that felt effortless. I never checked her phone, never questioned her whereabouts, never imagined I would need to. Trust wasn't something I gave cautiously. It was something I offered fully. That's what made the betrayal so devastating later. Not the act itself, but how safe I felt right before everything collapsed. People often think infidelity comes with obvious warning signs. Cold beer, emotional distance, sudden secrecy. But that's not always true. Sometimes betrayal hides behind affection, behind laughter, behind "I love you" whispered at the right moments. Sometimes the person cheating on you still holds your hand in public, still kisses you goodbye, still plans a future with you while quietly destroying it behind your back. This story isn't about anger. It isn't about revenge. It's about what happens inside a man when trust breaks silently, when the ground beneath your emotional life starts to crack without making a sound. If you've ever loved deeply, trusted fully, and believed in someone without reservation, stay with me. Because what I learned from this changed the way I understand love, loyalty, and myself. And if stories like this resonate with you, if real experiences make you feel less alone, supporting true life, Teeley's allows these stories to keep being told. Because more people lived this than are willing to admit. Looking back now, I can see the subtle shifts. At the time, they didn't seem important. A reply that took longer than usual. Plans that suddenly changed. Moments when she seemed distracted, present, but not fully there. But I explained everything away. Not because I was naive, but because I trusted her. And trust has a dangerous side. It makes you generous with excuses. She's tired. She's stressed. She just needs space. I filled in the blanks for her without realizing I was slowly silencing my own intuition. When you love someone, your mind works overtime to protect the image you have of them. You don't want to believe they're capable of hurting you, so you reshape reality to avoid that possibility. I wasn't blind. I was emotionally invested. Then one night, something shifted. Not because I found evidence, not because I overheard anything, but because I felt it. A heaviness in my chest, a quiet anxiety that appeared out of nowhere, a sense that something was happening outside my awareness. It's hard to describe, but when trust begins to fracture, your body often senses it before your mind accepts it. I asked her if everything was okay. Se esmile told me everything was fine. That smile stayed with me longer than it should have. A few days later, her phone lit up when she thought I wasn't paying attention. A name I didn't recognize. No emojis. No obvious clues. Just a name. And suddenly, curiosity turned into fear. That was the moment doubt entered the relationship. And once doubt arrives, it doesn't leave quietly. It sits with you, follows you, changes the way you hear words and read silences. I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse her. I carried the uncertainty alone, hoping it would fade. But silence doesn't heal doubt. It feeds. Italiano. If you've ever been trapped between trust and instinct, unsure which one to believe, you're not weak. you're human. And stories like this are exactly why True Life Tales exists, because no one prepares you for the emotional confusion that comes before the truth. The truth didn't arrive in a dramatic confrontation. There was no shouting, no sudden confession. It arrived slowly, painfully, piece by piece. One night, she fell asleep without locking her phone. I didn't plan to look. I didn't want to look, but the uncertainty had become unbearable. I needed clarity, not to control her, but to protect my sanity. What I found wasn't just messages. It was an entirely different emotional world. Conversations filled with intimacy that no longer belonged to me. Jokes that were supposed to be ours. Emotional closeness that should have existed in our relationship but had been given to someone else. It wasn't just physical betrayal. It was emotional abandonment, and that hurt more than anything else. I realized that while I was investing fully, she was splitting herself between two realities. One safe, one secret. I sat there in silence, phone in my hands, feeling like the air had been knocked out of me, trying to make sense of what I was reading, rereading messages, hoping I misunderstood, looking for context that didn't exist. People don't talk enough about that moment. The shock, the disbelief, the way your brain refuses to accept reality even when it's right in front of you. Infidelity doesn't just break trust, it breaks your sense of reality. It makes you question your judgment, your memories, your understanding of the relationship. If you've been there, if you've felt that drop in your chest, that hollow feeling, know this. You're not alone. And sharing these stories through True Life Tales is how we remind each other that pain like this doesn't define us. When I confronted her, she cried. She apologized. She said it didn't mean anything. That it was a mistake, that she was confused. But betrayal doesn't happen by accident. It happens through repeated choices. Choices made consciously. Even when they're hidden. What hurt more than the affair itself was how quickly the conversation shifted away from my pain. How her guilt became the focus instead of the damage she caused. That's when I understood something important. Remorse and accountability are not the same thing. She wanted forgiveness without fully facing the consequences. She wanted relief without rebuilding trust. And in that moment, I realized that even if I stayed, the relationship would never be the same. Infidelity permanently changes the balance of a relationship. The innocent partner carries insecurity. The betrayer carries opportunity. I chose to walk away, not because I stopped loving her, but because I started respecting myself. Leaving wasn't strength. It was grief. It was mourning the future I imagined, the person I thought she was, the version of myself that believed love alone was enough. If you're standing at this crossroads, understand this. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's survival. True Life Tales exists to tell these moments honestly, not to glorify pain, but to give voice to it. Healing didn't come quickly. Trust doesn't regenerate overnight. For a long time, I questioned my judgment, wondered how I missed the signs, wondered if loving deeply was a mistake. But slowly, I learned something important. The ability to trust is not a weakness. It's a strength. Betrayal doesn't mean you loved wrong. It means someone else chose wrong. I rebuilt myself piece by piece. I learned boundaries. I learned to listen to intuition without letting fear control me. I learned what consistency actually looks like. Infidelity taught me painful lessons, but it also gave me clarity about what I deserve, about what love should feel like, about what I will never tolerate again. If you're healing from betrayal, be patient with yourself. You are not broken. You are recalibrating. Supporting True Life Tales helps stories like this reach people who need to hear them when they feel most alone. Today, I'm grateful I listened to that feeling in my chest. Grateful I chose truth over comfort. Grateful I walked away when staying would have meant losing myself. Infidelity doesn't end you. It reveals you. It shows you your values, your limits, your resilience. If you're watching this and living with doubt, understand this. Love should not feel like anxiety. Trust should not feel like a gamble. And if you've been betrayed, Remember this: your story doesn't end there. This is a chapter, not the conclusion. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And if you believe real stories matter, support True Life Tales. Because truth, when shared, becomes healing.